Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick little demo of how to get cracking in Asana if you're in a solopreneur. So we're going to make an account for Bob. Bob Launch is our mascot for the Launch for Life team, and we like to do with everything with Bob just to show you how things are done from the get-go. So the first thing we want to do is go to Asana. So I'll just go ahead and type in Asana and choose Asana here. You can type in asana.com and get here any way you want. And so what we want to do is we want to get started with Asana. And so the easiest way is to just put in your email address and click Get Started. So I'll do that. And it wants me to go ahead and verify my email address. So I'll go over here and we'll just refresh my screen. And here we go. Here is our verification email from Asana. Open that up and verify our address. And it brings us straight back to Asana. So at this point, we can go ahead, and I would recommend watching the video because I think the videos are really good, but let's just go ahead and continue here. And we need to set up our profile for the first time. So I'm just going to put Bob Launch. And then organization, you can call this whatever you want. If you have a actual business name, I'd put your business name. But Bob is just an independent solopreneur, so I'm just going to put Bob's Biz for the company and add a photograph here. And we've got one right here. And oh, we got to have a password. And continue. I'll just put, so for your team name, because Asana is set up for teams, it likes to work in team mode, but you can just put Bob's Biz, something like that. It doesn't really matter. And then who's on your team? Right now, it's just Bob, so continue. So right now, there's one person that works at Launch for Life, and it is Bob. So we'll do it like that. So once we get into Asana, we can see that now we're in the Launch for Life because that's the email address. So if your name of your business is Pat's Puppies, then that would be the name of your organization up there. Really doesn't matter too much. It's just going by what your email is. So at this point, we get into Asana and we really have a blank slate. And you see this little nudge up here. It's telling you this is kind of where you want to get started. So the best way to work with Asana is you want to take everything that you've got going on in your life and break it down into projects. So if I go up here to the plus, I can add a project. So for instance, with Bob's got a couple of projects that he's going to work on. So let's just go ahead and start creating the different projects. So Bob wants to do a website. So we're just going to go ahead and do project name, website. We have a difference between a list and a board. It's really not important right now. Just go with list. It's just a lot easier. I like to work that way. Down the road, you can figure out if you'd rather go in a board style. So we'd say Bob wants to have a website, and that's going to be a project. So now over here, we see that there is now a project called website. So before we add tasks, let's just go ahead and add a few more projects. So he also wants to have a project called social media. So we'll go ahead and create that project. And he also wants to have a project called email marketing. And another project, maybe his goals for the year. We have that. So now we have these projects here. And maybe these are the goals for the nice thing about the projects is you can actually come here and you can color code them. So if you wanted, you could make the you could set this one to be, you know, red. Your social media one, you could have it be a different color. You might set that to be green. And down the road, this actually might make sense. You know, you might have, for instance, here, this one, goals for the year. Maybe these are his personal goals, and he wants to set this to be a different color just to kind of keep it apart from what else he's working on. So he might say, oh, my work projects, I want to be green, and my personal projects, I want to be gray. So we can do some different things with these different colors. So just so you know that you can customize like that. You can even have things to be a favorite project and kind of gets a little star and then actually goes up here into my favorites. So if you start working with a lot of projects, that's kind of a good idea on how you want to do things. So once we have a number of projects, then what we can do is we can start breaking your projects down into tasks. So say, for instance, Bob wants to wants to build a website. So what are the tasks that would be involved? So he needs to get a domain name. And then maybe he needs to create a web host account. And he needs to select photos to use. And he needs to hire a web designer. And so on and so on. So as you can see, he's creating lots of different tasks that he needs to do in order to create a website. And the nice thing is that he can now go ahead and he can create a description for each task. So he might say, compare GoDaddy versus other domain sellers. And there he has a description. He can also add attachments from his computer, from Dropbox, Google Drive, Box, whatever. And what's really nice about adding an attachment is that now sits in Asana. So, you know, if he wants to go back and find that file again, he doesn't have to go back outside of his, outside of Asana. All his files will be linked in here, which kind of is nice because then you're just working with one file and you're not, what's the copy? So as he gets ideas for his website, he might want to do that. So it's a great idea to attach your files right inside of Asana. So that's great to do. And at this point, he can even set a due date, and that's really a great thing. So Bob might say, if I don't get that domain name, I'm really just not going to move forward. So he just clicks over here. So let me go back to the task. He goes over here, clicks where it says due date, and then he can choose. So he might say, okay, that's something that I want to do today. And he looks at creating a web host. When do I want to get that done? Okay, that's also something that I want to do today. And select photos to use. Well, I could probably maybe I'll wait until the weekend. So I'll do that on Saturday. And hire a web designer. Well, I'm not ready for that. So he might say, something I'll do next month. So he might pick March the 5th or something like that. And that's how easy it is to assign due dates on your calendar. Now, with Bob, he needs to assign himself to the project because otherwise it won't show up in his tasks. So, and my task list is very important with Asana. So to assign this to himself, he simply clicks assign this task and assign to me. So it's that easy. So we can just sit here and say assign to me, assign to me, assign to me. And there we go. So now all of those tasks are assigned to Bob. Now, as I said before, Asana was initially built for teams. So if you had multiple people in your organization, that instead of assigning all these things to Bob, you could go and assign them to other people in your organization. So this one is actually linked to myself and Janet, but I don't want to go there. I wanted to show you this as a solopreneur tool, not working with teams, because I think this is really important. I think solopreneurs take a look at Asana and they just think, oh, this is too much. And it's really not. It's a great way for solopreneurs to stay organized. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pull up another project. So that's social media. And what's nice about Asana is you can actually have sections on your project list. So say, for instance, with social media, Bob wants to do something with Facebook, and he wants to do something with Twitter, and he wants to have some tasks that are Instagram. So what's nice is if you put a colon after the task name, then it makes it a section heading. So I'll just put a colon there, and I'll put a colon there. So now we've got under the section, under the project of social media, Facebook, and maybe with Facebook, he needs a new cover for his business page. And for Twitter, he needs to think up 10 new tweets. And he also needs to add a picture, a photo. And with Instagram, needs to set up an account and get some training. So now he's got a bunch of different tasks that are in sections here. So just kind of makes it a little bit easier to read than having one huge long list. So it's kind of nice to have the sections. And it's nice too, because you might say, oh, okay, actually, I don't need training in Instagram. I need training in Facebook. These can just easily be dragged and dropped from each section. So this is just kind of a nicer way to organize everything. So those are an idea of how to have your tasks. And again, you can write more information, the description here for each task. So here it needs a cover. So you could say, want to use Canva to create a mobile-friendly cover. And if you, here where it says write a comment, comments are only when you're working with teams, but I talk to myself all the time. So I think it's great to have a comment here. And you might say, don't forget to check how my cover looks on my iPhone. And then you just hit comment. And now you can kind of keep a running track of all those comments. So here I might have another one is check to see if Dawn will look up my cover on her Android. Just want to know if it looks any different. And so then we have another. So as you can see, you could kind of have a running list of thoughts that you want to kind of keep adding to this task, and you can put them here in comments. And if you had a team, this is where the different team members, as they were making comments on a task, it would just kind of keep a running list of everything that everybody has to say on that. So it's a great place to just jot down ideas when you're trying to, keep building with something. So maybe when I'm working on the website one, it's like I get over here to domain, and maybe my comment is the website I wanted is not available. So now I'm going to have to come up with new ideas. So it kind of gives me an idea of where I got stuck or what's going on with that particular task. So use that comment field. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be for multiple teams. It can be for just you. So that's good to do. And so let's go back to social media. So say, for instance, I want to assign myself to these, and right now I'm just going to drag them all in the same section. So let's just pretend we're doing everything with Facebook. So I'm just going to throw all these up in Facebook. And all these tasks have to do with Facebook and not with all the different ones. So we're just going to pretend we got a bunch of tasks. And I don't want to sit here and I want to say assign, click, click, assign to me, assign to me. There has to be a quicker way. There is a quicker way. We can click the first task, and then we can hold the shift key and click the next one. And then if I assign the task to me, it assigns all of them. So just kind of a neat little way that you can do groups, especially if you're a solopreneur and you're doing this all by yourself. So another thing that I want to show you how to do is you have all your projects over here in your side panel. And anytime you want to check on a project, you can just go here and see how it's doing. So let's just go back to the social media and let's assign a date to some of these. So let's see, we'll just pick the 28th and we'll do the 23rd. Oops, the 23rd is already passed. Okay, let's March the 2nd. So there we go. We've got a couple of dates for the website and we got a couple of dates for the social media, and they're all assigned to Bob. So I wanted to show you how these all look. So the first thing is, if you look at your calendar, you'll see that those tasks will now show up on your cover, on your calendar. So that's kind of nice because it gives you a bird's eye view of, you know, how things are going to be on your calendar. So that's nice. You can look at your progress, and right now it's for a particular project where you're going. And of course, you haven't really done anything. So as you start completing tasks, so there's 5 tasks, and you get an idea of how you're doing with all the tasks that you're working on, which is kind of nice. And then files, if you had files attached to any particular task for that project, they would show up here as well. But the most important thing I wanted to show you is the My Tasks. And this is how you can organize yourself every day when you come in and want to work with Asana and see what you're doing. So every time something is assigned to you, and you're assigning them to yourself, of course, if you're a solopreneur, they're going to be here where it says new tasks. And this is just going to be a huge bucket of every project. So we have projects that are the website and projects that are social media. And this is where if we went over and actually chose a different color, this is where the color coding actually could come in handy. So if we go back into My Tasks, it will help you just visually break down, oh, these are for this project and these are for this project. So that's just kind of a little tip there. So at this point, it's kind of overwhelming to just see it in My Tasks. So what we want to do is we want to start taking these tasks and putting them into sort of different buckets. And the buckets they have is mark the task for something that you're doing today, upcoming, so that would be in the next couple of days, or later on in your week or month or whatever. So if we just click on this blue dot here, we can mark it for, let's mark this one for upcoming because it's not today. And this one is, let's mark this one for upcoming. And when's this one due? This is not due. This is not due for a while. So let's mark this one for later. And let's do this one for later because we didn't even put a date on that one. And that's okay. You don't have to have dates on your tasks. They can just be tasks that have to be done. Here, this one's for Monday. So let's go ahead and make that for later. This one, well, Saturday's this week. So let's go ahead and make this one for upcoming. Let's make this one for today and for today. And here we are. Okay, we have assigned all of our tasks. So now let's just go back out and come back in. Now we don't have new tasks. All of our tasks that were new have been assigned. And we can see that we have a folder of just the tasks for today, just the tasks that are upcoming. So they're in the next couple of days, and then later. And they break those ones down with no date at all into your different projects. And what's nice is you can close these up and just not even look at them. So I can come in here and just say, I just want to look at what's going on with the tasks that I have today. But if I do want to see them, I can just toggle and see them come up and go down that way. So I think that's just kind of a nice way that you can work with your tasks and not ever feel overwhelmed. So I do this whenever I come into my tasks and I see the new tasks, I automatically figure out what bucket they need to go. I assign them. And then that way throughout the day, I'm in Asana all day long throughout the day, knowing exactly what's on my plate. And if I come in here and I know, yes, I have done my tasks, I can go ahead and click, yes, I did that. I created the website account and I got my domain name and it's done. And the nice thing is I can work within the projects and go ahead and check everything off. But for the most part, I work on many things at the same time. So I might go through and I'm just going to go ahead and select that I've done all these too. And there we go. Great. We've got a lot of work done. So that's all you have to do in Asana. Just click that little check mark and then your project is done. So the interesting thing about Asana is this was kind of the hardest thing for me to get used to in the beginning, is that I'd look at this and say, well, where did all my stuff go? And that's because you're in a particular list with Asana where your view is by default to show you only the stuff that you haven't got done. So these are my incomplete tasks. So if I want to look at the stuff that I've completed, all I have to do is come over here to this little change view and I can see these are the completed tasks. And I actually kind of like to work with the all tasks because then anything that I've already got done is kind of faded out in the background, and anything that I still have to do is right here, more ready to be ticked off. And if you ever by mistake tick off a project, if I mark this as complete and I go, oh no, that's not complete, I just have to tick it and it's unchecked again. So that's kind of easy peasy to work with. And with this change view, you can also change the way that your tasks are sorted. And so right now it's in no particular order. So it's just how I typed them in. If we want, we can sort our tasks by due date. We can go back here and we can sort our tasks by alphabetical order. However you like to work, you can sort these however you want, or you can just go back and put it in no particular order at all. So that kind of does that. So I think that kind of gives you an overview. If we go back now to the progress, and remember before we didn't have any progress because we had just started, so this should repopulate. Yeah, so we now see that we had 4 tasks. We've got 3 tasks already completed. We only have 1 task remaining. We see the date. Gives me sort of a little idea of everything in terms of how I'm making progress with everything. One thing I would also want to just show you that is important when you come into Asana is if you go into your settings. So, let's see. Yes, if you go into your profile and you go into your settings, you can tell here to email. You can set how you want Asana to notify you. If you like to get emails like a reminder, like you've got stuff to do, Bob, you can, by default, it's going to send you a task reminder every couple of days, like you've got something to do. So it'll kind of give you little nudges. You can get an email on all activity. Again, this is probably more important if you're working with groups. So if you had team members that were going ahead and sending you messages and making comments or doing things for you, then you would want to have that all activity. And then a weekly dashboard would be sort of a once a week nudge of here's everything that you have to do. I find that overwhelming myself. So you can have these all ticked, or you can turn them all off, whatever you want. So just remember to come into your settings, and that's when you can do that. And that probably is enough to get you started on using Asana. Asana is a great tool, and it is a tool that is just wonderful for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. So I do encourage everybody to use Asana. It is a great, great program.